go, folks.
I'm just going to say what's happening. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
It's crazy. I never know what to expect.
We'll call our meeting to order. Let's please rise and pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our clerk of council is unable to be here tonight. Art's going to be stepping in for Brian tonight. Art, would you do a roll call for us, please?
Mr. Anderson.
I'm here.
Mr. Varner.
Here.
Ms. Montgomery.
Here.
Mr. Mays.
He indicated to me he'd be absent tonight. He got caught in a construction project. There's supposed to be rain coming tonight, and he indicated to me that he had a little bit of money on the line if he were to not get that stuff that he was going to do tomorrow until I found out it was going to rain, that he needs to get done tonight.
We still have to have an excuse, an approved excuse, a motion for that.
I would personally make a motion to excuse him.
Second then. Let's do a roll call vote.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Ms. Cornett.
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery.
Yes.
Mr. Varner.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
You would continue on with the roll call?
Mr. Wolf.
Present.
Ms. Cornett.
Here.
All right.
Okay. You passed the test there, Art. That's good. Okay, this will be time for our public comment period. And Mr. Corsick, do you wish to address council? If you would come up, introduce yourself, and you could have 5 minutes.
I'll be quick tonight. Chris Korzik, live on South Main Street. I watch a lot of the meetings in person, and when I can, I watch online. And you guys get a lot of negativity, and I just wanted to come up here and say thank you to all of you, Mayor, every one of you. There's not a person on this council that has refused to talk to me, listen to what I have to say. We don't always agree, but at the end of the day, I appreciate you guys. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can come back every council meeting. In fact, you can sit up front here if you
I'd like
want.
to make a motion to extend his time.
You can have all night if you keep saying that. Okay. Sherry, would you like to address council? Again, introduce yourself.
Sherry Ryder, school bus driver. I don't know how to follow that.
Just say the same thing. Just say ditto what you said.
No, I watch you guys all the time. And last time was interesting because Art had talked about stoplights. As a bus driver, they're very important. So what I wanted to ask was, after you'd already said that they're going to take the 125 one out there down, we're thinking like the North Street one also. We have a lot of horrendous traffic. Starts about 2:30, 2:35. It's not only just our high school at that time, it's also the vocational school. And there's three of us at that time that have to come this direction. And it was like if we'd have a clear shot through here past North Street. Of course, we're going to come to a serious stop also at UDF. And the reason for that is because there's so much traffic that wants to turn left to go out to McDonald's. We're wanting to go straight or right. So my idea was if there was some way we could get a light there that just has like an arrow to the left, straight through, and everybody else has to stop, in the required time, obviously, and let us get out of the way and along with the other traffic that's getting backed up. Now, the same thing happens for the elementary also. There's a lot of elementary kids. I think there's more of them than there is anybody. So that means a lot of parents and stuff are there to pick up their children, and they get in front of us, and then we just kind of do the same thing over again. We get stuck behind them, and then we can't move. There's 4 buses then that's here for the elementary. So I just want to kind of throw that out there, just the thought of maybe getting rid of the North Street and then maybe getting us a different light system here at UDF.
We're working on a grant right now that will take care of the intersection here at UDF. Now that's months away, but that there will be a whole study about that traffic pattern. And when that time comes, I'll get the school and the transportation department involved in that discussion. And the one at North Street, we discussed, and I don't know how council feels about it. I know a couple of people wanted to keep it, but that we are discussing that. Because that's my preference too, but that'll be council, and we'll discuss that here probably in a little bit.
Are we,
It's always been an issue, and I've been doing it 44 years now. So I definitely see it all the time. And it's just like, it gets kind of frustrating. And I know the parents and everybody else that has to use the route also gets frustrated, because we can't go anywhere once we get down to this point, because there's always somebody wanting to go that way. At least 2 or 3,
Okay.
if not more. So
while we've got you here, and as a 44-year bus driver, I know we're talking about the UDF one, but do you have an opinion, since we're still kind of kicking it around a little bit, do you have an opinion on that North Street one from a bus driver perspective?
see it go
Okay.
personally. That way we just don't even have to stop there. Just come on, because we are stopped up at Ohio Street. So, but North Street is, and I've got a bus driver that comes out of that street, and she said she doesn't have a problem if the light's not there to be able to turn to get out. Now, I don't know about the public, because the bus sits up obviously higher. So.
Ask a question.
And Mark,
I know you've now mentioned this twice. How long have you driven a bus?
44 years, Mark.
Okay, let me give a little perspective. I'm 50. She started driving a bus when I was 6. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She appreciates you pointing that out.
she
Thank you,
probably,
Mark.
she probably appreciates it more that you never rode on her bus.
Yeah. Other than that, I was going to ask you the question about the fuel pump down there. Have we got an answer for it, because it keeps stopping at 58 gallon? All of
I
our
don't know if he
buses,
came today. He's aware of it, so I'll make sure we get
Okay.
it done.
because we got 100 gallon, fuel tanks, and it's like, it stops at 58. It's like, then we have to put the card back in it and redo it again. So
You haven't had an issue with the handle, have you? Because
No.
last week,
No,
the
it's
handle
just-
wasn't working.
no,
and
it's
fixed
not the
that.
handle part. It's just the whole thing shuts
Okay,
down.
all right.
Yeah. So thank you for your time, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay. Captain Staggs, do you wish to address council? Okay. We have Sue McKinley, if you'd like to address council.
Good. I'm Sue McKinley. I'm a community citizen, and I am here to speak on behalf of the semi-quincentennial that will be happening in the state of Ohio and in the United States. It will be the 250th birthday of the United States, and it will take place in 2026. I'm going to pass these out to, excuse me. Okay, so Stan Purdy and several others recently attended a function at the State House, and at that function, they discussed the Ohio history. Yes, Ohio history connection. Thank you. Discussed the celebrations that should take place around this 250th birthday party. And so we in Georgetown sat down and talked about it, and we want to jump on this. So what I'm presenting to you this evening is an opportunity for Georgetown to basically lead the way. We are looking at dedicating July the 4th, which is a Saturday, July the 4th of 2026, as to celebrate our Heritage Day. And all functions will take place here in Georgetown, Ohio. We've already had some conversation with commissioners. They are aware of it and are on board. So basically, I need your approval to move forward. Again, like I said, it's 3 years. We'll invite every community to come to the table for the planning and to be on the committee. No one will be denied an opportunity to be on the committee. And it'll run a lot, basically the same way as the Bicentennial Committee did. Those that want to participate will be, their ideas will be thrown out there, and each person may have one assignment, but only one, so we don't overload anybody. But we're looking at a full day. Dale and I have spoken about it a little bit, and Art and I have spoken some. And basically, the general idea would be to kick off with a big parade. That morning, have all kinds of events taking place here in town during the day, and then culminate in the evening with some type of concert and fireworks. And locations and so on, of course, will be determined at a later date and time. But Ohio History Connection does have an opportunity for some money to come towards these programs. That's why we want to get a jump on it so we can get up there right away with our request. And does anybody have any questions?
And this is just not a Georgetown event. This
No.
is a county-wide event.
Countywide, so it's county inclusive.
Right.
But one of the things they want, if you read up on it, they like it focused around a county courthouse. So we do certainly have that opportunity, and being the county seat, it's our chance to include everybody. It has to have an educational aspect to it, which we've got some ideas on things to do with that. But of course, a lot of those things will come from the committee members as we sit down and discuss it and throw ideas out and so on and so forth. So I'm here tonight simply to ask for your approval to move forward.
Any questions, concerns, comments?
No, I just wanted to make a remark. Somebody had on Facebook the booklet they gave to
Oh, yeah.
whoever has been up there, the last page.
The
Now,
back
they
of
don't
the-
identify it, but it's us.
Yeah, so the celebrating
kinda
250
cool.
years of America's
Yeah.
independence, the book that was passed out in Columbus at the State House
Oh.
has our courthouse and our fireworks
I love that.
on the back of it.
Yeah.
See if you can show it up to the camera behind you.
Where is it?
Right
Back up
behind
there.
Matt's head. There you go, yeah.
It's really cool.
It is, it's awesome.
Okay.
Have you set up a meeting yet?
I have not. Letters will be going out tomorrow to the mayors of all the villages, if you guys approve this. And then we'll take it from there, yeah.
Oh, I'm just curious, are you are asking for approval to create a board or a commission to do this kind of thing? Or what are you asking for? Because
I'm
I
just-
say go for it.
Yeah, I'm just asking for support
Oh,
from the
okay.
council
All right.
to say, yeah, we want to move forward with this and
It isn't necessarily a council
no, it's
program.
not.
It's
It's
a
not.
community
That's why I'm
program.
asking.
Do we need a motion for that, or is just a general
Just consensus, I think.
I think
I think it's a
consensus,
great idea.
High five, yes.
Is there anyone opposed to it? Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I don't think so. So,
great.
good. Go
Thank
ahead
you,
and
everyone.
see if I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Yeah,
you,
if you
Sue.
need help, Sue. Yeah, you know where to find us.
We have Delbert Eichholz. Do you wish to address council tonight? Okay. All right. Very good. Do we wish to do Jason at this point in time, or is Art? Hold on.
He's here to discuss the
Okay.
Port Authority.
Okay,
We'll
okay.
get to that.
All right, we're going to move on now. We're going to go to our general business. In your packet on page 1 is the meeting minutes from our February 23rd meeting. And again, as always, if there's any corrections, deletions, additions that need to be made to them, we can do that at this time.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Nancy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeremy. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Varner,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Ms. Cornett.
Yes.
Almost forgot you.
Okay, very good. On page 6 is the review of our Budget Committee meeting minutes. Are there questions in regards to the Budget Committee meeting? Or if anyone from the Budget Committee would like to clarify things, they're more than welcome to do so at this time. And if not, there's always the opportunity to ask them privately or at another meeting. If not, we will move on. On page 7 of your packet is an ordinance for the tax clerk contract. At our last meeting, we came out of an executive session and we approved some salary increases to 3 of our salaried personnel. And this is one of them. This would be our tax commissioner, Catherine McElroy. And this is the packet for that. So if you would, Kelly, if you would read this by title only, please.
An ordinance amending the contract of employment of the income tax clerk and declaring an emergency.
Any questions or comments?
For the benefit of council, you did do a verbal motion when you came out last time. This just codifies those. Because they're contracts, each of these 3 employees, we need to amend the contract, specifically the salary clause. So you're going to see 3 pieces of legislation coming before you tonight. They're basically affirming the vote that you've already taken and formalizing the amendments with the appropriate language for each of those contracts.
And legalistic question, the emergency part is because, why are we doing?
Because I wanted it to be since you already technically voted on it,
Right.
I wanted it to go into effect and start. One thing though, I do want to point out to you, because I was not here at the last meeting, I did make these retroactive to January 1. I did that because typically when you do annual reviews, you do it that way. If there's not an agreement to do it that way, we can strike that language. But I included that, and I tried to get a definitive answer on that and didn't, because the people I normally would call and ask are all affected by this. So it's, if you don't want it to be retroactive, and Natalie did say it's very easy for her to do or not do depending on what your will is. So I did want to point that out to you. Everything else I think is very standard.
Anything in regard to what Joe said? If there is not, go ahead, Steve.
When we did the employee raises, were those retroactive back to January?
We didn't talk about that.
We put those in effect March 1st and they were not retro.
So do you want to then do it retro to March 1st? So that's the same?
Say that, I'm just thinking.
No.
I was thinking the same thing, but honestly, I mean,
Totally up to you.
if I'm not partial to it, doesn't matter. I really don't think it.
Rest of you?
Just bringing up I'm not endorsing anything. Would another possibility be making those March 1st ones retroactive? I know it would take another thing. If we're worried about fairness, I don't know.
These employees, the 3 that we're speaking about, I
Right.
can't say if you want to speak to fairness. I think there's been a couple of years in the past couple of years where we've either not even reviewed the contract employees or made them later in the year. So that's why I really think I'm really not partial to the subject. It's 3 employees. I would probably be more outspoken if we went retro on the other employees because that's a pretty big number.
I want to make sure I'm clear because you were here and I wasn't in years past. Because I was kind of thinking maybe they should not be dialed back because the other ones weren't. But you're saying there were years when other people got raises, these didn't.
There was,
So for that reason,
yeah,
for that reason, then I'm fine with them I'm fine with them as you have them written to being retroactive back to January 1st.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't think I was sliding that in there. I did it because that's typically you do annual reviews and you do them retro right after the first of the year and make them retro. But again, it wasn't specifically discussed. So I wanted to make sure you did.
and I think going forward, because we did I know in the committees, we're doing the practice of prior goal setting and making sure we have an ongoing living document that helps guide the committees. I think going forward, we'll be able to stay in front of these 100% and hopefully next year, just make them all the same date, get it all finished before, so we're not working backwards basically. And time,
So is everyone in accordance with these thoughts?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, if there are none, we've read that by title only. If we wish to entertain that, we'd need a motion to approve.
Move.
By Jeremy, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mark Robert Anderson. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Cornett,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
That will be ordinance number 1333.
If you would turn to page 10 of your packet, again, this is a similar circumstances. This is for our fiscal officer. And again, Kelly, if you would read this by title only. Page 10.
An ordinance amending the contract of employment of the fiscal officer and declaring an emergency.
Discussion? If there is none, then we would need a motion to adopt.
I make that motion.
By Mark Robert Anderson, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeremy. Again, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Discussion real quick.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Section 2, is that number correct?
Natalie ran the figures.
Somebody look at it.
Yeah, I got it.
from-
I've got that
check
in
your
It
there.
notes.
doesn't look right to me.
Yeah, again, she ran those numbers.
Um,
You don't
Got everyone else's.
I can triple check what she sent me.
I think I've got it too, Kelly. I can find it.
Find the right bit. You have it.
I'm a
I-
looking.
Yeah, I feel like that number doesn't look right. I could be completely wrong.
I got 62,118.
I got 62,727.
Well, let me,
Mhm.
2%.
You're on to something there. I just can't find it. I don't know what book I was working from that night.
Let's
Um,
assuming it was, what multiplier are you using, Mr. Owens?
2%.
Huh?
She was 2%.
Yeah, two
Yes.
is what we gave her.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I was thinking 12 something,
Kinda.
1,200.
Okay, I've got a different number yet.
It. Must be in my budget committee notes. I bet. I don't know, I
63,
was
but wait,
writing on
let's see
that.
what number she plugged in. I think she did a 3%.
What'd you get, Steve?
It was a 2% increase, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
62,000, 62,118.
That's what I got.
Yeah, she told me. She gave me that number. I didn't know why. She indicated a 2% was that number, but that's fine. You want to just amend it, Kelly?
Could you pause
Yeah,
one
just
second?
couldn't do the math. I wish I had my folder. I must have been working from
I know we decided on 2%.
Did you write them
Of
down?
18 is what I
Yes, I remember
have.
that for sure.
1218.
That sounds right there.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
1,200 and something.
That's right.
that's
That's
what
what
I'm
I came
coming
up
up
with too. That's what that total number there, 60, whatever I said, 62 something.
Take a look, Nancy. Did you retain?
I don't have it. But I know.
What
It
is
should be
the number?
62,118.
Doesn't sound right either.
Yeah.
You went off the wrong number.
62,000.
It's 60,900 the pay right now. If you take that number times,
Yeah.
times 1.02.
Right.
All right, you just doing an
62,118.
amendment? You want to do an amendment?
Yeah. So who came up with the final number?
Yeah,
I
what's
lost
the
my
number?
page.
62118 is what I've got.
That's what I've got, 62,108.
62118.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Okay, now hold on.
62118.
Yes, okay.
Hang on a minute.
all right.
This says 60,900.
Yes.
That was the original.
That was the original salary, then she gets a 2% increase.
Well, on the 2022 sheet she gave us, and the 2023 sheet, she's got 61,813.70 on here.
There's the difference.
Could you say that number again?
61,813.70 and 70 cents.
Do the math on that.
63049, which is exactly.
That matches
Yep.
that.
So why did she have the wrong?
Okay, so the increase amount is correct. So the 12 whatever, 1,200 and some change, that is correct. The base, the 60,900 probably was whenever that original contract was written. Maybe we didn't amend it for something.
She probably got a cost of living, maybe, or
Yeah, she got a, yeah,
from that time frame.
she got a raise at some point here. And I know she got the cost of living. Yeah.
It didn't get amended, yeah. Okay, so then we're going back to the original plan of 63,049.98.
Okay, we're making these retroactive to January 1st.
Yes,
Okay, I don't know why I thought we said March 1st.
we
January
did on the
1st.
other employees,
Okay. Just
We did.
these three.
but
Okay.
Yep.
yeah. We just did not specify on the contract. So Joe went how it typically would be accomplished.
So that raise would be $1,236.27. If we're using that 61,000. 60.
Ending number's correct.
3,049.
Correct. Okay. All right, I think we're back to square one.
Okay.
All right, okay. Any other questions in regard to this contract? If not, then we would need a motion to adopt. We had one by Mark.
Yeah.
We had a second by Jeremy. Okay, so,
And we had the motion and that's when the discussion happened.
okay, so we have the motion there. So let's do a roll call vote.
Ms. Cornett,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Varner,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery.
Yes.
That'll be ordinance number 1334.
Also on your packet in the same manner as these other two is the contract for our village administrator on page 15. And Kelly, if you would read this by title only, please.
An ordinance amending the contract of employment of the village administrator and declaring an emergency.
Discussion, comments?
The math's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll make the motion.
okay. We have a motion to approve as by Nancy. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Steve. If you'll do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Varner,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yes.
Ms. Cornett,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
That will be ordinance number 1335.
Okay, hang on a minute.
In your packet on page 22 is a supplemental appropriation and ordinance for that. And Kelly, if you would, on page 22, if you would read that by title only again.
An ordinance making a supplemental appropriation for the village of Georgetown, Brown County, Ohio.
This is a supplemental appropriation where we had to take certain monies out to put them into a credit memo clearing fund from each one of these utilities. I assume that too much was collected. Is that correct, Art? And it's being put there so it can be filtered out to where it needs to go?
Yeah, all the overpayments, they stayed in the bank, want them done this way. And you created this credit memo fund in an earlier council meeting, whenever, but, so all these funds, it's just an easier accounting system for the credit memos, for the overpayments that we have to pay out. So they wanted them tracked this way. So you guys created the credit memo fund earlier and she just found out the amounts that we had to put in them, and that's what the transfer is for.
Any other questions? If there is not, then we'd need a motion to adopt. By Steve, do we have a second? By Jeremy, again, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Varner,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery.
Yes.
Ms. Cornett,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
That is ordinance number 1336.
I just wanted to point out for the math that we were doing on the fly in the meeting, both of their contracts do provide for an automatic cost of living adjustment in the same amount as other employees that get. So that's why the math was what the math was.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point out it was in their agreements. I just checked that.
But if there's not a cost of living given, they don't.
They don't get
it's not
one.
Okay.
That's correct. It's the same, it's in proportion to other employees.
Okay.
And then we do have an add-on to the.
Yes, we do have another, this one, cemetery.
It was distributed. We just
We
need a motion to add.
you just received a single page article that the chief gave to you. It's another ordinance. So Kelly, if you could read this by title only, please.
An ordinance setting fees and policies associated with the Competent Cemetery in the Village of Georgetown, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
We need a motion to add this to the agenda. By Jeremy, do we have a second? All in favor signify aye.
Yes.
Those opposed? Okay. Okay, this is an ordinance setting new fees and policies at the cemetery for Competent Cemetery, getting more in line with what the other area cemeteries are charging. And there was a committee, the cemetery committee met, let's see, Mark, you're on that committee.
It's community development, all
Plus,
three of us.
plus there was
plus-
some citizens involvement, Kelly Hessler, Susan Bean, Stephanie Dyer. They all came to the conclusion this is what they would recommend to council going forward. Any questions?
This is something we also said needs to be looked at every other year,
Yeah,
because we hadn't looked at it for a while and it got way out of whack.
Yeah.
And it really needs to be looked at.
with me?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the rough answer is things went up proportionally, but in the meantime, hold on just a second here. Actually, I do have those numbers with me in my bag. If you give me 2 seconds, I can get those out. This is the, no, I have them for cremation. I don't have them for the graves. Cremation went from 250 to 400, 375 to 500, and 425 to 700 for Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sundays and holidays. I have the other ones in my bag, but if you give me a second, I can get those for you.
I've got them.
Do you have 'em? Oh, yeah, that exactly right there. Yeah.
So village resident was 515. Brown County was 750. Out of county was 1150. Out of state was 1980.
And that put us like by far the lowest in a
Oh,
large
yes,
area.
by far.
So the numbers that you see on here are simply proportional. Puts it like right in the middle of the pack, doesn't it, Dale?
Even though they look staggeringly higher, they're still in line with the
Yeah.
area.
That's all I wanted to hear. I didn't have any problem with the numbers. I just, if somebody asked me after the meeting
Yeah.
why we did this and whatnot.
Well, you have to look at some places provide the tents and the
Yeah.
chairs and some don't, and that's
Right.
extra and, you know.
When was the last time that they had been adjusted?
Probably about 4 years ago.
It's been,
I think it was last time I was on council.
been a while.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
May I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Mark.
Not to be morbid, but you can buy your burial plot before you die. You don't have to be dead to do that. Also on the back page, it says passed and adopted on, that should be 2023, I think, not 2022.
You've got a keen eye, Mark. I will grant you that.
I
So,
agree.
okay. So we'll make that correction going forward. Is there any other questions in regards to this ordinance?
When's this go into effect?
It would go into effect immediately. It's an emergency ordinance.
Is that?
I don't know. That's just how it was written. Do we want to,
Typically, when we adjust rates, we do them immediately. So if you don't want it to be an emergency, we can adjust it.
To really do an emergency ordinance one day and it's going to kind of lose all of its urgency because it seems like everything's an emergency ordinance. I'm trying to learn something here.
okay, you know, we have this ordinance in front of you. If there is a motion to approve, we would need that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
By Steve, do we have a second?
I'll second.
By Nancy, let's do a roll call vote.
Ms. Cornett,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Varner,
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery.
Yes.
That'll be ordinance number 1337.
With the amended date corrected.
Yes, with the amendment of
Yeah.
2023 on the past date.
Okay, if on your page 23 is our payment listings, and again, this is something that if you have questions about anything, Art is here. He probably knows most of these things that are on this list. If not, we can get those from Natalie. Is there anything? If not, we will move on. So on page 24 is the payment register detail. This is the credit card purchases there. And if there's no questions in regard to those purchases, it'd be time for our police report. We have Chief Freeland here for us.
I think all of you have been on council long enough. I probably don't really need to explain these statistics. You probably have already taken a look at them. Just to give you an update on things with the police department. Most officers are tied up on drug investigations, and we're still getting a disturbing amount of sex crimes being reported to us. Seems like we've had a lot more in the past year than we've had in many years. Of course, some of those are coming up years after the actual event. So we're having to go back and track people down. And so there's a lot of footwork in both of those types of crimes. With the Lexapol, the process has begun. Captain Staggs and I attended a webinar explaining the process to us from beginning to end. We'll be assigned a project manager, which will help us through the project from start to finish. Once this begins, there will be a regularly scheduled work session every week, several hours per week until it's completed. Property room audit, that is scheduled to begin the second week of April. Sawyer, our Rammel, our property room manager, will be working with Loveland's current evidence technician to get that audit completed. We hope to have that completed in 2 to 3 week time period. This past Tuesday, we had a supervisors meeting with Captain Staggs, Sergeant Green, and myself. We discussed the courses that we'd like the officers to take for the 16 hours of CPT or continued professional training that is required that falls back on us locally this year. As I've discussed in past meetings, we, along with the Lexapol, we were able to get on a program that is called Police One Online Academy. It's a good bang for the buck compared to having hiring somebody to come in and do an in-person class, plus all the overtime and things that you would accrue with that. I just got a confirmation email back from OPATA that they will accept Police One classes. I just need to submit the curriculum to them for their approval. So when I believe once they approve that, it'll go into effect 30 days after their approval. Another thing that came up at the last meeting was Parker Way, with it being a one-way street. There's a few things that have come up. Actually, some of them were brought to my attention by some of the officers that have been sitting up there monitoring the road. I've got some stuff here on my computer. I went out there today. If you're on Main Street, this is the only one-way sign that's visible. If you're coming north, there's nothing. If you're coming out of Parker's Pizza Lot, there's also nothing except for that marking on the pavement, which Parker's was kind enough to do when they paved their lot. As you can see, some type of work's been done there, so part of it's missing. as police officers, we cannot enforce that marking anyway. There needs to be an official sign, and as you can see, there is not one. I believe that Mr. Owens has spoken with the owner of the property across the street, which is Mr. Porter. He has agreed to allow signage to be put somewhere there on his property. I believe we have right away there, but I was thinking about there beside the walkway and that rock wall that he has there. But Tommy, I've spoken to Tommy today with the street crew, and he said that he would be taking care of that. And he said he would make contact with Mr. Porter before he installed the sign so that everybody was happy with where it was placed. Yeah.
Could we also possibly get at if someone was to look left, which is the way you cannot exit from the back of Parker's, maybe 2 signs on each side facing them that says
Do not
an
enter.
exit or do not enter?
Well, I do know that Tommy, he agreed, because the reason I took the picture of this, as you can see, there is clearly a do not enter sign there. There's also one there on your right. It's very faded. Tommy was going to see about getting that faded one replaced with a newer one. I do think it's not a bad idea that if somebody starts to pull out and goes to the left, that they would see either a do not enter or I think a do not enter would probably be more striking than something on the pavement or another one-way sign.
Like that do not enter needs to be on the other side of the pole.
Yeah.
Is the main reason, because years ago, that didn't used to be a one-way street. And I know with the mail drop makes it, a need to be a one-way street. And there used to be a drive-through window there at the edge of Parker's. At one time there was years back. And that's why it was originally turned into a one-way street. So you could pull up to the edge of Parker's there and pick up your pizza like a drive-through kind of thing. Obviously that's not there anymore. I just wondered, I'm not trying to change up the whole.
I would assume it's because of the mailbox there.
That's my question. Yeah, why is it one? Does it need, if we're gonna do all that, does it need to be, or I wouldn't propose to change that tonight here or anything like that without talking to Mr. Highlander and getting, and maybe the neighbors around.
I personally would have no issue with it, but that mailbox, I know that's why it's there, because somebody's obviously going to be on the wrong side of the road putting their mail in there.
Mailbox is busy. That
Yeah.
mailbox is
Okay,
full.
cool. That's cool. That's all I need to hear.
But Rob, I do have the work order for the sign by Mr. Porter's house, but I didn't do anything for the, coming from the entrance of Parker's there on Main Street. So I'll tell him to do that.
Like I
too.
said, me and Tommy Hurley spoke at length about it today, and he said he was going to get it taken care of.
It's not
So-
super important that that it's a one-way street if you're turning off of Main Street. It's like, if you know, if you don't, big deal. Nothing's going to be coming the other way because it is a one-way street. It's very important to know, because I have a friend that drinks beer up there a little bit at the bar sometimes. And when you go to leave the parking lot, it's important to know that you have to make that one. That one's a real important one. Yeah.
Is your friend's name Steve?
Kind of looks like me. And yeah.
When Ruth Allen lived there, she had complained about it. She said she almost got hit head on twice. So,
Yeah.
but the problem's coming out of Parker's. It's not really
Right.
people turning off.
I do think that if that sign is put across the street as you're pulling out, I think that'll take care of the biggest problem there. So, like I said, Tommy's on it. I just wanted to give you guys an update. So,
Orders on board.
I know Art said he spoke with them, and Tommy
We
said.
have a right of way there, but we
Yeah.
don't want, we
Yeah.
want-
Yeah, right.
Tom said that he would, like I said, he would knock on the door and converse with Mr. Porter before he installed the sign. So,
Anything else for the chief?
I do have one question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nancy.
Safety checkup, there's 31 of those. Is that where dispatch calls all of the officers?
yeah, I
in the
usually
county?
take that off of there, and I must have forgot to check
Okay.
that box because I really don't like that being part of the statistics.
Yeah, because that's not, that's just
So, yeah, I
number whatever
that's
you
something
okay, and they go,
I have,
okay,
every month I
check.
literally have to go down through and uncheck all the things that I don't want to be on the report, and I must have overlooked that one. So,
I've noticed this for months and months, and I'm just going to ask the question. The electrical fire, that's like a chargeable offense. I mean, if
No, I mean, that's what.
it's just something that happened. That
It's
somebody
actually
had to-
just a fire that we went to.
Somebody had to
with the fire
respond to.
department. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's a vehicle fire, house fire,
Gotcha.
something that's in town, we're going to obviously go out there
Run
with
out
the
and see
fire
what's going
department.
on. Yeah. Okay.
If we're lucky and get there soon enough, we can sometimes put it out with the fire extinguisher before
Yeah.
anybody gets there.
Okay.
Anything else for the chief? All right. Thank you very much, chief.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our roundtable discussion. And Mark, would you like to start?
I yield back to the mayor.
Very good. Jeremy?
So I only have one super quick announcement, and it's a minor apology. I had kind of a busy week this past week, and I didn't get to move on the DORA as much as I would like. Updates will be coming soon, and nothing will be said or done without being very obvious that anything is being discussed. But the fact that I have nothing is because I didn't do nothing on it this week. So I apologize for that. And otherwise, I'm all good.
Nancy?
Not a thing.
What?
And then, disappointing, isn't it?
Kelly, would you like to go next?
I have two things.
Oh, I do.
Go back to Nancy.
Too late.
Didn't think it was fine.
Do you
No,
wanna-
I just wanted to point out, people probably know, but I just want to point out that they've started the splash pad. And it should be done in about 2 weeks, within 2 weeks. And somebody had mentioned donating on Facebook. Anybody who would like to donate, make a check out to the Village of Georgetown, make a note on it that it's for the splash pad, and get it up to Natalie, and it won't be long. I'm sorry.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure, go ahead.
You get a nameplate on out there at the park too. I donated, I think, $25.
Okay.
Yes, every donor's name will be on the,
That's probably
unless you
one of
don't want to
those,
be on, there will be a sign with every
Probably on a
donor's
posted
name.
label or something.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And Mark's will be down at the bottom. No.
All right. Kelly?
I just need to set 2 committee meetings. So the first one, we need to set an HR committee meeting, and that is myself, Nancy, and Mark.
How soon do you wish to have it?
Within the next few weeks, probably.
Well, Mark's off on Mondays and Thursdays,
My
Mark.
schedule's changed drastically.
I just got used to it.
Thursday's the only day.
You're open?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you're looking at the 16th or the 20th of April. Unless we can meet early. What time do you usually go to work, or do you normally do it before you go to
My
work?
schedule's changed drastically. Now I work all shifts. Like I have to be there at 4 a.m. tomorrow.
Sorry, man.
You're going to be cranky.
I'll be all right.
He's got
Okay.
his
No
friend.
more crankier than usual.
Does any Thursday work for you, Mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Just give me a day, somebody, and a time.
Well, you want to do it the 16th? You want to wait till the third Wednesday of
If we do it the
April? I mean,
16th,
third Thursday.
what time would we be doing it on the 16th?
Doesn't matter to me. I don't work. Well, actually, we have an Appalachian grant meeting that day.
Good night. The health department has a meeting that night too.
So what?
The health department has a meeting that night that I have to be at.
Oh, okay.
Just give me a Thursday and give me a time.
I'm looking at you guys, and
Well, we could do it before the council meeting, the 23rd of March.
No,
2 weeks.
there's no scheduled meetings
No,
for that.
I don't have anything.
okay, what time? Name and time.
Do you need an hour? More than an hour?
Hour's fine.
6.
6 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay. And then we need to set a budget committee meeting, which is myself, Steve, and Nancy. Okay, Steve, probably you first.
My calendar. We had the one that canceled, so I assume you're wanting to have it fairly soon, correct?
Yes.
We have a kegs on Tuesday.
Mhm.
could we maybe sandwich it right behind that? Those members would already be here.
5:30.
14th.
The 14th, March 14th at 5:30. Okay. And that's all I have. Did you get that, Nancy?
Yes.
Is that it, Kelly?
Yes, that's
Okay.
it.
Did you
And-
say 4:30?
No, 5:30
5:30.
14th.
at
at 5:30.
5:30.
Okay.
And just quickly too, he mentioned it. We are in the phase of planning the Kegs for a Cause Beer Fest for 2023. That event will be on July 15th of this year. But our next planning meeting is on March 14th at 4:30 here at the village office. It is open to anyone that wants to participate and help plan the event. So anyone can show up for it. That's it.
Okay, very good.
March
Steve.
14th at 4:30?
Yes.
Steve?
Yeah, I got a couple things. We need to get a date for the next Emergency Services Committee, but I don't necessarily want to pick it right now, and here's why. And this goes out to the chief and captain, and then Chief Rocky, who's not here, but one of the things that our president's asked us to do is for all of our subcommittees to sort of, I don't think it has to be real scripted, like this month we're going to talk about this and this month, but to at least kind of lay out some things that we need to focus on, sort of a loose agenda looking forward for a year. And I'm not really comfortable at all with picking that, for this subcommittee is a little different where, it has kind of the participation of actual village employees that come to it. So I would like you guys to put your head together, pick that next meeting at a date and time that's best for you. We'll try to, as council people, we'll try to make it work. We might have to bounce that back and forth a few times. You can talk to Chief Rocky as well.
We do. Yeah,
do?
April 11th, if you want to do something different, but we have one set. You're right, Matt.
Right, 4:30 on the 11th of April.
I do have it right there. I got my calendar's a little like real littered up right now. Yep, right there, 4:30. Okay, well, on that note, if you would bring to that meeting, some thoughts about what you want to do and what you guys want to make a focus. That committee in the time that it's met, again, I think is a little different. It's been more reactionary. We've been tasked to do things, coming off the heels of the police assessment, and that's where a lot of our time is. Now it's kind of like we're sort of turning the corner, and now it's like, what do we want to work on going forward? And it's really like, what do you guys want council to be working on your behalf? So if you, that might be the top of the agenda for that meeting would be just what are we going to do in future meetings? And then I just had two other quick things. One is we had the big windstorm. Our administrator and everybody's already thanked the village people, but I don't think they can be thanked enough. That was treacherous out there. And we often talk about the dangers of, and rightfully so, of being a policeman and a fireman, but being an electrical lineman up on a telephone pole in 60-mile-per-hour wind and taking fallen trees off of live electrical wires, and the street department, there's probably not a safe job in this village, particularly the boots on the ground people that are out there during a storm. So God bless all those people, and thank you for doing that. When we're all getting told to seek shelter and go to our basements, you guys are all being told to run out there and fix it. So thank you so much for that. The last thing I have is a community announcement. This Saturday, March 11th, at the Big Eagles Hall, they are having the Pot of Black and Gold reverse raffle event. This is to raise money, of course, for the Georgetown Athletic Boosters. This is a little different type of event. This is an adult-only event, so the thing would kick off. It's $100, but here's what you get for your $100. First off, you get Georgetown's own George Vogel emceeing for the night, who's probably maybe a classmate around one of you guys, close somewhere. Okay. So he was a sportscaster for WLWT, I think, for over 40 years, forever, for a long time. So it's kind of cool. You get to come back to Georgetown and MC this event. You be there for your $100. You get entry into the reverse raffle when you attend this event, and you have a guaranteed prize coming back to you valued at least $25, but maybe potentially a whole lot more. At 6 o'clock, there'll be a happy hour. 7 o'clock, there will be a dinner of either grilled steak or chicken. And 7:30, the drawing will begin, the reverse raffle drawing. And I'm not quite sure when that'll wind up, maybe an hour or so later. And then clear on into midnight, lights are going to go down and it's going to turn into a dance and a party and whatnot. So they are only selling 200 tickets. And my understanding there's about 190 of them already sold. So there's only a few left. If you want one of those, and I think there's some table discounts too, if you want to buy like a whole 4 or 8 of them or whatever. Get a hold of Christy Lucas. Just call up to the high school and get a hold of Christy Lucas, or you get a hold of Art, and he can get you patched through to get you connected with Christy. And but it's a great cause, of course, for the school, for their athletic programs. That's all I have, Mayor.
Good. Right. Is there any other new business or old business need to be brought before council at this time?
I wanted to say something.
Go ahead. Oh, I forgot. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Art.
I laid a packet on your desk, and I'll say now, this is available to anybody in the public that wants it too, and it's about this Appalachian grant and what Georgetown's trying to do through the grant, but it would take me an hour and a half, 2 hours to sit here and actually tell you everything. So I made a packet. I have extra copies, and you're welcome to that. And Jason Hammond came down today to do some economic development stuff with me, so he decided to come to the meeting in case any of you guys had any questions. Because I know there was some discussion the last time you all wanted to look over the Port Authority legislation to see if you had any questions based on looking over it. So he is here to answer questions if you desire to ask him any.
I apologize for not recognizing you here. I saw you earlier and I just kind of went on by, so.
So at that meeting, at the last meeting, we were, I think, kind of on our way. I don't know if that was a formal motion or just a consensus or whatever to make Mr. Hammond the overseer of the Port Authority. And I had some confusion just from earlier statements that what kind of charge might be with that, but you indicated there wouldn't be any. And I thought we were going to all kick on that for a week or two and maybe move forward with that tonight. Is that still the plan? Because I've had my 2 weeks, I've vetted it all out, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to ask you to do that, because he's pretty vital to me right now in both those roles, with the Port Authority and with this grant. And I'd really like to have, if you're willing to do that, I'd like to have him on so we can get this Port Authority. This Port Authority is actually going to be a very important piece of this grant process and in the future of Georgetown. So I hope you move on that tonight.
Having said that, do you wish to hear from Jason first, or do you wish to make that motion? Okay.
This new role and then let him talk.
Okay, well, we could then entertain a motion
I'll make the motion.
for,
This is for Jason Hammond to head up the Port Authority.
okay. Motion by Nancy. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, well, you kind of a tie there, but I'll grant you that one, Mark. All right. So let's do a roll call vote, please. Our first discussion, any discussion? If not, let's do a roll call vote.
Yeah, that's my job. Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Varner.
Yes.
Ms. Montgomery.
Yes.
Ms. Cornett.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Very good. Well, congratulations, Jason. Okay, at this point in time, do you have anything that you would like to address council with, or just with your continuing dialogue with Art in getting these projects underway?
Yeah, no, I had a good afternoon with Art.
If you wouldn't mind coming up, Jason. Sorry about that.
You just earned a microphone. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, had a good afternoon with Art today. We had an opportunity to walk around the downtown a little bit and just brainstorm some ideas. We also had a meeting with Ready Cincinnati last week, I guess it was. Had a Zoom meeting with them to talk about some new grant programs that are available that the village is now eligible for. The grants are through Jobs Ohio. They're focused on downtown revitalization. So that again ties into the Appalachian Community Grant and the ideas that Art has prepared for you there in that packet of information. So yeah, just a really exciting time. It's really an unprecedented amount of dollars that are flowing to small and rural communities in Ohio. And I think Georgetown has a great foundation, especially in the downtown, to really, get it revitalized again. And as Art alluded to, and, we've discussed it, somewhat of a high level, the port authorities in Ohio are a real great tool to help promote economic development, especially with their powers related to real estate development and finance. So it's going to be a natural tie-in as we move to get some of these properties back and active, and help increase the vibrancy of the community.
This Appalachian Grant, what Art has put together, this is just kind of a little bit like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to that than what he's put in paper form here. So this is where Jason and Art will be working hand in hand in trying to get this thing promoted to the greatest degree for our community.
And I'll add to that, Jason, one of the things we did today, because it comes up in public discussion all the time and it's come up in the meetings, that's the Victory Sports Bar. That's what we looked at today. I've been in contact with the owner. Jason has graciously been working with Ready Cincinnati. I'll just let you know, I don't know yet how it's going to happen, but we are working on a plan to remedy that whole situation, to work good for the village and for the owner of the building, and to actually finally see something happen with that building, because that's a public question all the time. You guys have mentioned it, so we are actively now working on a solution to that building.
Any other questions for Jason?
I'm gonna go against legal advice here, Joe. So I'm sorry, but I'm gonna waive my Fifth Amendment rights tonight, and I'm gonna incriminate myself because I came out of Parker's Pizza before the CDC meeting here. You're the guy. I turned and I looked left and I noticed that one-way sign. I'm like, man, I'm past the point of no returns. So when you said we're not going to prosecute people for making that turn, I was like, all right. So,
You got a free pass tonight.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
but now I know.
That's it.
Thanks,
All
everybody.
right, well, thank you, Jason, very much. Congratulations, too. All right. Is there anything else to be brought before council at this time? Our next council meeting is, of course, on March 23rd at 7 o'clock. We've gone through the meetings that we've discussed here, March 14th at 5:30, Budget Committee meeting, and the HR meeting would be at 6 o'clock on the 23rd before our regular council meeting. So if there's nothing else, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to.
Wow,
All right, Steve, go ahead.
I think Delbert already did that. but-
I'll second.
Okay, Steve and then Mark. So all in favor signify aye.
Yes.
All those opposed, thank you for coming. Meeting adjourned.
64 minutes.